Hello, and welcome to the Drone Quote YouTube channel. I'm your host, Sinue. You may have heard installing solar panels will save you money, but how does it work? The easy part is that the sun shines on your solar panels, which generate electricity, but the savings take place with this agreement between you and the utility called net energy metering. You can have all the sunlight in the world with the best solar panels and best inverters installed on a sophisticated tracking system free of any shade. Still, chances are that if you're missing this one intangible thing, you won't save as much money as you'd like. More specifically, solar net metering is a system that allows households and businesses with solar panels to sell the excess electricity they generate back to the grid. Here's how it works. A household or business generates electricity using its solar panels. If excess electricity is generated, it goes back to the grid and a monetary credit is applied to the property owner's utility account. When the household or business uses more electricity than its solar panels generate, it can draw from the grid and use the credits to offset the cost. At the end of the billing period, if the household or business has unused credits, they may be paid back by the utility or rolled over to the next billing period. That is how net metering works. But let me add some nuances that can make a difference in how much solar panels may save you relative to your utility. First, let's talk about when the accounting of electricity takes place. Some utilities account for the buying and selling of electricity monthly, and some do so annually. If your utility does it monthly, this may mean that you will save more in the summer months than in the winter months, given the available sunlight hours and the sun's angle between two opposing times of the year. Additionally, utilities typically compensate less for surplus energy at the end of a billing cycle. In the winter, you may offset some, but not all of your electricity needs with your solar panels. This means you generated some electricity at a lower cost with solar panels and purchased the rest at the retail rate from the utility. In the summer months, you may produce an excess of electricity and offset your entire usage. However, you'd be selling any surplus power back to the utility at a much lower wholesale rate. If you live in an area where the utility accounts for solar net metering annually, you may fare better than monthly accounting. During winter months, when a deficit is likely to happen, resulting in what would otherwise be a utility bill, solar panel owners are often able to eliminate the winter deficit with a summer surplus of electricity. The net result is that a properly designed system would balance your usage and solar generation between the summer and winter seasons. As a side note, extra power is typically sold to the utility at a wholesale rate, regardless of whether or not accounting is monthly or annually. To put it in perspective, if the wholesale rate per kilowatt hour from the utility is 3 cents, it will typically cost you at least 6 cents to generate that credit. It really grinds my gears when solar salespeople brag about their customers getting a check for excess power, because that means the customer literally paid for that check.
What?
Under net metering, utilities typically buy excess power at or close to the wholesale rate. Solar customers are also usually required to be on rates that include demand charges or time of use rates, which is important because your roof's orientation is another significant factor that comes into play. With time of use charges, electricity prices fluctuate depending on the time of day. With demand charges, customers pay a premium if usage exceeds a certain amount within a specific window of time. These price structures typically increase during the latter part of the day, when people are more likely to use electricity at a greater rate. As the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, panels facing east will fire up early in the morning and reach peak production earlier in the day, more than likely well before demand charges or prices increase with TOU. Panels facing south will produce more electricity than any other orientation, but will also reach peak production earlier in the day but later than east-facing panels. But panels facing west, those panels will reach peak production later in the day and are very likely to continue generating power well into the time of day when peak rates or demand charges are in play. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where the magic starts to happen. If you can situate your panels so that they produce more power when costs are higher, you either avoid higher electricity costs or sell it to the grid at a higher price. It does not make sense to put panels on the west side in this scenario. It makes dollars. Now, for those living in California under the thumb of the big three utilities, the details about solar net metering should be of extreme significance because net metering as we know it will be gone after April 14th of this year. From then on, homeowners that go solar will see the value of their electricity drop by about 75%. And while that may sound bad, some people live in areas where utilities don't even offer net metering. That is why I said earlier that without net metering, the best system in the world will struggle to save you money, unless you pair it with a battery system. But that's a conversation for another day. Until next time, hasta la vista, baby.